Anyhow, the spiders, just to let you know, are no threat to people. They will not hurt people. They don't hurt pets. They won't hurt your plants. All they want to do is eat bugs, and that's what the webs are for. Now, that's where it was really bothersome to some people because the webs can get to be pretty good size.
You're listening to Peachtree Corners Life, a weekly online radio show sharing ideas, opinions, and news about the city of Peachtree Corners. Now, your host, Rico Figliolini.
Hi, everyone. This is Rico Figliolini, host of Peachtree Corners Life. Appreciate you joining us on this podcast. This is a special podcast about a pest that's out there that people have been talking about on Nextdoor and other sites, and it's been in the news. Although not just showing up today, it's been around for several years, but I have an expert on from UGA Gwinnett Extension Program, and he'll be speaking to us about it. For those that aren't familiar with the Joro Spider, I have one near the house. I have several, actually. There's actually 4 different webs that are hosting the spider that they've built. And we're going to be talking about that particular pest. And let me bring on with me Tim Daly. Hey, Tim.
Hey.
Thanks
Rico.
for joining me. Good
Sure.
morning. So I was out there this morning videotaping that spider, and then I realized with 3 other webs between 2 big trees I have, and they all have their own little big spiders. And these spiders, you might not be able to tell from the video particularly, but they are the size of a palm and they stretch out. So Tim's with the Gwinnett Extension Program, right? Well, actually, tell us a bit about yourself, Tim. Give us some background and what you do.
All right. Well, I'm one of those rare local native from Decatur, DeKalb area. I got 2 degrees from UGA and the College of Agriculture, my master's in entomology. I've worked in a lot of ornamental horticulture, landscapings many years ago, water conservation programs, and also I've been with the University of Georgia Extension here in Gwinnett County since 2006. Do a whole bunch of different things from consulting with homeowners to programs for landscapers and what we call green industry. We have a large group of Master Gardener volunteers in doing school outreach programs, amongst other things.
And you've been a recipient of the, 2020 Award of Excellence presented by the Georgia Master Gardener Association as well.
That's correct.
Yeah. So it's kind of neat that so many different areas of outdoor environment that you've been involved in. So I'm glad to have you on the show about this. So Joro Spider, I hadn't heard about it until only within the last few weeks. And in fact, when I started hearing about it, that's when I noticed we had one on the side of the house. And you cannot notice it because it's so darn big. And the web is not your typical web. My wife says, maybe you can pressure wash it off. I'm like, that web, if you tug on it, you see how thick and hard that web is. So can you tell us a little bit, maybe some history or a little bit more about where the Joro Spider came from and all that?
First of all, just spiders, some people call them insects, but they're not insects. They're related. They're in a class called arachnids, which are spiders, scorpions, ticks, and mites. The Joro spider originated in East Asia, places like Japan, and it ended up introduced in this country probably around 2014 in the northeastern part of the state, up along I-85. There are a large number of warehouses, and we got stock being moved in from out of the country, from the airport, from the coast. And and scientists believe that it somehow got in through there and got out into the environment. And over time, populations have exploded because it's in a different environment as opposed to its native environment where there are controls on that population because it evolved there. Sometimes when organisms are taken out of that environment, put in an extra one, they grow. They can become invasive in nature. Now, in time, perhaps maybe their populations will decrease. It's too hard to tell. The spiders, they can get up to 3 inches long. They're yellow and black with some red markings on it. They're similar to our orb weaver spiders that are common this time of the year. But anyhow, the spiders, just to let you know, are no threat to people. They will not hurt people. They don't hurt pets. They won't hurt your plants. All they want to do is eat bugs, and that's what the webs are for. Now, that's where it was really bothersome to some people because the webs can get to be pretty good size. They're real sticky, strong webs. And I get calls, how do I get rid of Joro spiders? And the webs are bothering me. I saw some web being around some street lights the other night driving home and things like that. The spider can be a nuisance, bothersome, but it's not a threat. Some invasive species can be a threat. This really isn't a threat to anybody.
I was going to say most spiders are venomous to a degree, but they say that pretty much it's almost like a bee bite, right? It might
Yeah, well,
hurt, might sting a bit.
some spiders, yes. Some, though, won't even do that. Their fangs are too small to pierce human skin. Only spiders in Georgia that are poisonous are the brown recluse spider and the black widow. The brown recluse spider, when it bites, it injects a venom that causes the skin to die in an area. However, these bites are quite rare, and brown recluse spiders are quite rare in the Gwinnett area. It's more north and west of here. And even if they have them in your house, that doesn't guarantee that you will be bitten. There was some family out in the Midwest, they determined had a couple thousand in their home. They've been living in there years and have never had trouble with them.
Wow.
So, but as I said, here in Georgia, they're quite rare. The other one is the black widow spider. Is a shiny black spider with red markings on its abdomen. They are poisonous, but often they're under things. You'll find them under rocks, under boards, logs, and things like that. So really, it's quite rare that people get bitten by them. They're really not that bothersome.
So Tim, with the Joro spider, where's the natural? I see them outside. I see them between trees. I see them hanging on the side of the house with their spider webs. Some spiders tend to make homes inside a home, like an attic. Do Joro spiders do that? I mean, where would you normally find
by
them?
nature, they don't. They're an outdoor spider. Some spiders, like the house spider, will come in, and you may have seen them in your home. I mean, they're totally harmless. They're just a nuisance pest. Joro spiders, now, if you find one in your home, it wandered in there by accident. Didn't mean to get in there. It's what we call an occasional accidental invader, but that's not where it wants to be. It wants to be outside to catch the bugs.
And what normally I've heard actually that because the spider webs can be so big and so resilient that sometimes hummingbirds might get caught in them. What is the natural diet of a Joro spider? What would they prefer eating?
There's a variety of insects, basically anything that flies in their web. Now, there's an invasive pest around here called a brown marmorated stink bug. Well, it eats plants, but it also congregates in large numbers on people's homes and can get into the homes, and that's a nuisance. Joro spiders love to feast on those. I've seen their nests with several of them, which is a good thing.
All right. And has the Gwinnett Extension, or have you noticed with your professional peers, are there a lot more people calling in about these spiders?
Yeah, I've got numerous calls about, I got these spiders in my backyard. I know my sister called me. She lives in Jackson County, and she called me about, what's this big old spider in front of my window? And I had to explain it. She says they're all over the place up there. I have a lot of people in Athens, I know, and they're telling me it's really big over there. A lot of them, they're everywhere.
It's amazing because I just hearing about it all over the last couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden seeing at least 5 or 6. If I see 5 or 6 outside on webs now, I can imagine how many more I would see if I don't do anything, right? So is there a way, how would you control, pest control this type of species?
The thing is, one of the best control is a broom, and knocking their webs and smashing them with the broom is probably a good way. You can try to use like a Raid or one of those flying insect sprays to spray on their webs, and that might work. But there's really not that much you can do to control them. That's the best couple ways right there. The birds will sometimes eat them, but those are about the only ways you can control them.
I wonder what the natural predator was for it in like Japan or other Asian countries.
I would say certain species of birds, lizards, snakes over there, and some of our native those organisms will prey on it as well, but they're not as used to it. That's why what it does is it's like any invasive species. Where it comes from, it has evolved in that environment over the thousands or millions of years, and it's been under control where it fits into that environment, and then when it's removed from that environment, which is not true for all species of insects and plants and other things that are not native here, but some it is, and they don't have those natural controls. The environment is conducive to their growth and development, and next thing you know, they take advantage of that and can produce in large numbers. I mean, you see that a lot with plants, with, of course, kudzu's one. Privet is probably even worse. English ivy, avoid planting English ivy, and get rid of it
Yeah.
if you have it. So that's what
Yes.
basically it is. And of course, insect like fire ants, that's a perfect example of an invasive species there. And I think we've all had little run-ins with them, and they have very painful stings.
Oh yeah. I think my son actually had a allergic attack once when he was a young kid, like 5, 6 years old. He was bitten up. They were running up his legs pretty much. Yeah, kudzu. I mean, I moved down here in 1995, just before the Olympics. Never seen kudzu before, and that's it looks beautiful when you see rolling areas of kudzu. It does look beautiful, but I can see how it just takes over an area and just smothers everything that might be under it.
It was brought into this country back in the earlier part of the last century for erosion control and also for animal forage. And it was planted widely, like the Soil Conservation Service was doing that and other entities. But by the 1950s, they realized they had a problem with it. And you can see where it is today.
Yes. So it's amazing how we're a global society now. Everything comes in. China, we import probably 70-80% of our products come from Asia and South Pacific area.
The reason why, if you look, we got so many things that come from that part of the world is because that part of China, especially, is at the same latitude we are, and it's east and southeast facing an ocean, the Pacific Ocean. So that's why the climate is very similar in a lot of ways to what we have over here. So that's why so many invasive pests, well, not all, of course, but so many do come from that part of the world.
So contacting a pest control company might not necessarily be any better than just taking a broom to it, I'm assuming.
That's correct.
Okay.
Because pest control companies, that's what they would do. They have some sprays that can get rid of them, but it really isn't worth it. You can get rid of them just by the brooms, or if you want to use an insecticide and spray.
What's the gestation period of a spider like that? Because, I mean, they can have a spider sac, right? With 100 of
Well, basically,
of them
they overwinter and they hatch out. They're quite small during the spring, but late summer to fall, they really grow and get large and they reproduce.
And their lifespan?
Just the season. They'll die when the weather gets cold. Well, some folks says we might have a cold winter, but that doesn't matter. It's just their life cycle.
I was going to say it might get cold. Who knows? It's been raining a lot, so maybe that'll come in. So besides this type of spider coming in, are there other... Have you heard of insects and other spider types that you're hearing more of lately in the past year?
Well, not so much spiders, but I mentioned the brown marmorated stink bug was one. There's something called an emerald ash borer that got into, I'm thinking maybe 15 plus years ago, and up and around Chicago and Great Lakes area, and it spread all over, destroying ash trees, although we don't have a very large number of ash trees, but they've been found in Georgia. I always say just because you haven't found an invasive species hadn't been found in your county doesn't mean it's not there. It just hadn't been found. And now down on coastal Georgia, about 20 years ago, an insect called red bay ambrosia beetle got in. And what it does is it attacks plants in the laurel family, and down on the coast is the red bay tree. And this little insect goes into the tree and introduces a fungus that causes the vascular system to be clogged up. So if you take and cut a branch off of it, you'll see the darkening on the inside of the branch is the fungus, and that has killed a lot of red bay on its Georgia coast. You'll see them. There's concern that it's moved into Florida and is threatening the avocado crop because avocados are related to that. And up here in North Georgia, we don't have any red bays, but we have sassafras trees. There's been reports of it on sassafras. I know Cobb's had it. One was found here in Gwinnett, but it doesn't seem to be really detrimental to this tree. And sassafras are not that numerous.
So there are challenges that show up year by year and such on this.
Those are the ones we know about. There's probably more that we don't know about that are here.
Yeah, I would think. There's so many.
I always say it's kind of the COVID situation. They say we had our first report in January, February 2020, but it may have been here earlier. That's sort of analogous.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's certainly likely because we weren't testing for it. So how would we know otherwise?
Right.
Gwinnett Extension, if people wanted to find out a bit more about what does Gwinnett Extension provide as far as services to its Gwinnett citizens, maybe you can just share that with us as well before we
Okay,
wind up.
well, we provide a variety of services and what we call agricultural natural resources, which I'm in. We consult with homeowners about various issues in their natural environment, whether it be their yards, trees, insect pests, and soil and water issues. Same with what we call the green industry, which is landscape, turf, tree care people. You see them all over the place. There are a few small farmers, but there are not that many in Gwinnett. Equine, there is some of that, but we have done some forage programs. We have a large master gardener program. This is a volunteer program. We train people to be volunteers and to do outreach programs, working with that, and school outreach programs. One of my program assistants works and has done extensive work in doing school and youth education. We also have our 4-H youth group. They have our 4-H agent, Pamela Block, does a fantastic job. I would recommend if you have kids in your family, get them involved in 4-H. And then we have family and consumer science. Inez Beltran's our fax agent, and they do things like financial literacy, health, nutrition, things in that area, what used to be called home economics. And if you would like to find out more about us, go to UGAextension.org/Gwinnett.
Excellent. And so if the individual homeowner would like to have a discussion about maybe the soil quality or what, soil erosion, they would come to Gwinnett Extension as well? We can reach out to you. They can come
or call or email me.
Okay. All right, cool. We've been speaking to Tim Daly, County Extension Agent here in Gwinnett County, UGA Associated, about Joro spiders, which is that invasive species that's taken over the discussions online when it comes to pests here in Gwinnett County. I know one next door, it's been like everyone's been talking about it and how do you get rid of it and stuff. And certainly I have, like I said, 4 webs out there around the house, and I'm sure there'll be more if I let it go. But I do appreciate Tim educating me a bit more on Joro spiders. Tim, thank you for being with me this morning. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thanks for listening to Peachtree Corners Life with Rico Figliolini. You can listen to our live stream on Spreaker every Thursday night at 8:30 p.m. or on demand at iHeartRadio, Spotify, and iTunes. Don't forget to like our Facebook page for notification of our live video streams of the show. Catch our other podcast shows at peachtreecornerslife.com.